Hello. Hello. Hello.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our morning session, Outsourcing Financial Service Win-Win Situation for PPO. I would request Mamun Bhai, please. We have Mamun Ashadul Hassan, Dr. Kamaluddin Jasim, Said Mahabubur Rahman. He hasn't come yet, no? Tapan Kanti. Tapan Bhai, please. Sorry? No, he's not going to come. Okay. There's an apology from one of the person, Sarwar Chaudhry. He's not well. Luna Samsudua had to leave last night on an emergency out of the country. So we've got 4 people. I think we can start. Is there anybody else who was? You said 6 were here. No? All right, good. So I will let Mamun Bhai to take this and take it forward. All right. Just to let you know, the whole program is live streamed globally. We'll be recording it, so we will capture all the things that you're saying. So we can take action on that. Maybe you can shoot some chairs so that we can relax and stand.
Yes, Asha, why don't you go there? Huh? You go there? Yetam niye naw? Done? Okay, na? Comfortably seated. Good. Assalamu alaikum and very good morning to all of you, and rather heartiest welcome to this session 7, that outsourcing the financial services. And you would be knowing the organizers as well as the founder of this BPO movement, I would say, Ahmedul Haq has mentioned that this is so close to his heart, and that is why we have tried our best to bring up people mostly from the financial sector and who has worked for the financial sector in building the IT solutions, technology intervention, and here who has got good visibility about what are the challenges facing or faced by the BPO industry. At the same time, the finance industry, where they were and they are supposed to think of outsourcing some of their services or processing or back office activities to the BPOs, to the outsourcing agencies. So we'll be discussing all these, and we'll try to find out, if the time permits, also if somebody is there among the audience also to speak for a few minutes, that yes, their experience of outsourcing financial services, as well as what is the trend worldwide or the emerging market-wide with regard to outsourcing financial services. And we have got, as you have just heard from Mr. Ahmedul Haq, we have got Mr. Ashadul Hassan, who is the Chief Information Officer for Standard Chartered Bank, Head of Operations and Technologies, my apology, Standard Chartered Bank, who will be the keynote speaker. We have got Dr. Kamaluddin from Islami Bank Bangladesh Limited, the largest private sector bank in Bangladesh. We are supposed to be joined by Syed Mahbubur Rahman, Managing Director, Dhaka Bank. As you have heard, Mr. Sarwar Chaudhry has rendered his apology. We have also have Tapan Kanti Sarkar, who has worked long time for building IT solutions, data center services for the commercial banks, home and abroad, and he will be he is with us today, and I will be also listening from him. He has also requested me. He has a small and brief presentation which he can complete within 4 or 5 minutes. So we'll be also welcoming that brief, very brief presentation. And we also have supposed to have Mafua Sultana, Vice Chairman Export Promotion Bureau. So let's see whether she can make it. So let us start with Arshadul Hassan, Head of Operations and Technologies, Standard Chartered Bank, with his keynote paper. Arshad is a very seasoned banker, and what a coincidence, we have been partnering with each other for many, many years now. If I'm not mistaken, this is supposed to be the 25th year of Arshad's debut in the finance industry, and he has been facing lot of challenges, and he is still faced by lot of challenges to ensure seamless service delivery for the largest and most profitable international bank in Bangladesh, Standard Chartered Bank. So we will be listening from Arshad Hassan.
Thank you, Mamun Bhai. Mamun Bhai has been a mentor of me since I joined the bank, so it's a privilege and honor to be with him in the same podium for me. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, and the chairman of the meeting and the panel speakers. It's a privilege, as I said, that today in this BPO conference, speaking in front of you about financial services and what how BPO and financial sector can do as a partnering in this business. So I will start with, if you look at the first slide, the banking institutions throughout the world are increasingly using outsourcing. Why? First of all, it's because cost. If they can reduce the cost, the profit will naturally increase. But there are other reasons also. I think another important reason why financial institutions go to BPOs is flexibility and scalability. If there are downturns in their volumes, then they can scale down or scale up if there is a volume increase. Similarly, speed of business is there, which a BPO can give that kind of productivity to that financial organization. That is also very important. And the other thing is that the banks can actually resort to their core activities. For example, if a bank do their core business like branch banking, giving loan, accepting deposit, giving financial services, now keeping a team for salary processing of 5 to 7 people, or for accounting another 10, 20 people, can be a waste, and it is not their core activity. Similarly, keeping all the branch networks up and running, that is also not a core activity of the bank. Now, if I can outsource these, the banks or financial institutions actually can concentrate on their core activities, what they are best at, and leave it to the BPOs, where the network company or a IT company or a data center, it can be run in a much better and professional way. So I think there is a reason for a win-win situation. As the topic says, that it is a win-win situation for both financial sector companies as well as BPOs. So I think then let me summarize what I said is the reason for financial institutions to go to BPO. One is cost, definitely. The other is flexibility and scalability. The financial institutions can focus on core competence and speed of business and productivity. So these are the core reasons why financial institutions actually go for outsourcing. Going to the second slide, if you look at key strategies for the banks, now banks are facing many challenges like market volatility, shortage of expertise, greater risk. Cost is another big reason, as I said, and again flexibility. And banks can actually transform some of their fixed cost into variable cost by outsourcing. For example, if we have to keep 10 resources for salary processing, and this is a fixed cost for the bank. Now, if I give it to outsourcing, according to the scalability, I can determine that. Similarly, for network or data center, we can do that. So, as I said, scalability is important. Similarly, we can transform some of the fixed cost into a variable cost. Now, what are the immediate benefits of outsourcing from a financial, institution point of view? One is we can focus more on core business. We have low operational and resource cost. We can create additional capacity. We can do specialized resource which are not available. We can have specialized resource which are not available internally. And definitely risk mitigation is another reason why we can do it, because the activities done by the BPOs, they can also concentrate on risk which the banks were not able to or needed more investment for. Now, what are the major challenges in outsourcing? One is, capability of BPO partners. I think in Bangladesh, we need to upscale. Now, if you expect that, big banks will actually outsource their activities, they need partners who are equally capable and will run the business like them. So if a big bank like Islami Bank or Janata Bank or Sonali Bank today wants to outsource, they will definitely want that the level of service, level of turnaround time that is there, that has to be matched. Otherwise, if I outsource to a BPO and if account opening or other activity required 1 day, now it requires 2 days, it does not make sense. So that is the reason why I think the challenges is, the BPOs have to come into standard. Data and information security protection, I think that is also very important. For a bank or a financial institution, data or financial security is very important. So BPOs have to come up to the mark. They have to have their systems. They have to have their processes done in such a way that is secured. The hacking or other kind of data leakage does not happen from a BPO. So that's very important. Otherwise, no financial institution will outsource any activity. Compliance with regulatory guidelines, that is also very important. Now, the compliance standard that banks has to make, which is mandated by their regulators, that also has to be followed by the BPO. So BPOs need to scale up, understand what the regulation is, and then, provide that service to the financial institution. So that's very important. Another important thing is disaster recovery. Many of us in Bangladesh actually do not, focus on this thing. If there is no proper disaster recovery, if do not have a business continuity plan, then no financial institution is to give that job to BPO. Because if it goes down, if a disaster happens today, an earthquake happens, a data center goes down, you'll be out of business and the bank will be in difficulty. So definitely we need, and it's not only IT technology that is required. It is not a data center, you are having a data center in Dhaka and another in Chittagong backup. That's not good enough, because the processes also has to be coordinated so that if there is a disaster here in Dhaka, we can run the process in another location. We have to have a site, you have to have a process, you have to have a plan. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So I think that is also very important. Other thing is conflict and dispute management. That has to be taken care of by a BPO. If I move to the next slide, now how to mitigate these outsourcing challenges. I think proper due diligence on suppliers from the bank's point of view is very important. If banks has to do that due diligence, from time to time they have to first set the standard, and from time to time it has to be audited. Similarly, the outsourcing firm has to also have some standards so that they can be compliant. Ensuring industry security standard, as I said, that if it is a bank and you're doing a job for a bank, outsourcing for a bank, you need to know the standard, what are the regulatory and industry security standard. Similarly, if it is for a leasing company, you have to maintain the similar standards. Now, again, binding contract of SLA. SLA is there. Many a times what we do is we signed a service level agreement that there is a list of services, we will give this in so many days, so many hours. but that is not adhered to. Now, business outsourcing, companies has actually to adhere to this and actually, outperform that thing. Otherwise, it's, financial institutions not going to give you business. So that is one thing that needs to be, taken care of. And as I said, business continuity and disaster recovery plan, I explained that earlier. And monitor effective periodic audits that I mentioned, that audit will be conducted by the, financial company, and you have to be prepared for that, and you have to pass that. And abiding by regulations and applicable laws, that is of course there. If I move to the next slide, what are the enablers? I think the biggest enablers that has been created is central bank has issued a outsourcing guideline in 2015, January 2015. There, the activities which a financial institution or bank can outsource, that is clearly listed out. And what is the procedure? If it is not listed out, we go to central bank, explain, and the central bank will give permission. The general rule is the core activities of a bank or financial institution cannot be outsourced. But if it is a non-core activity, it can be outsourced. So what is a non-core activity of the bank? Maybe, running the IT network or a data center. That is not a core activity that can be outsourced. The, keeping all the branches up and running through a network. The HR function, the part of finance function. These are some of the activities. The archival is a big thing. Those kind of things can be outsourced. And there is very good opportunities for business process outsourcing companies to grab those business. And I'm not talking about Bangladesh only. There are a lot of companies in India who does outsourcing for banks and financial institutions of USA and UK. Huge big companies, huge people, huge setup. I have seen call centers like 1,500 or 2,000 people working in a call center for USA. So this kind of business actually can come to Bangladesh. So we have got great opportunity, not only for the local banks, but for the international banks and financial institutions also. So for that, our outsourcing company has to be upgraded. They have to know the rules and regulations of USA, UK, be compliant with that rules and regulation of security standard and other things. Only then we can ask for business. Otherwise, we cannot. If we are only concentrated on Bangladesh. So we have to know what is the regulation in UK, what is the security standard in USA, right? And then only then we can, seek for those business. So as I said that for Bangladeshi banks, this enabler is a central bank circular, but at the same time, other regulators like, in USA Federal Reserve or FSA, in UK, the central bank, all these regulator standards we need to know if we want to seek business from them, those banks. Now, what are the opportunities for outsourcing partnership in banks? The first slide shows the technology-based one. There can be a shared data center hosting core banking and surround applications. I think that is a business that can be outsourced by a bank. Managed IT services like IT help desk. If somebody has a problem, the computer is not running, can call their BPO. Nobody will understand whether it's a BPO or anything. The call will be directed to that company, and the solution or service will be given from them. And it has become global now. A US bank or a UK bank, if you call their help desk, it will actually come to Chennai or Kuala Lumpur or other places. And they give service from there, IT service. So this kind of business can be brought into Bangladesh. It's very much possible. So I think, as I said, help desk, IT support services, network support, this is possible. The other things like processing-based ones, that is also possible. For example, check and security printing. This can be outsourced by a bank or financial institution. Archival of physical and electronic items. Archival is a huge thing, right? We have to still have a lot of hard copy documents that we need to keep. And if we have outsourcing companies, we actually use. Some of the banks we actually use. But there are few companies not up to the standard, fire safety measures are not enough or adequate. For that reason, not many banks do that. But if BPO companies come up with proper fire security standards, safety standards, then I'm sure a lot of banks and financial institutions will actually, give their archival to these companies. And it is not only hard copy. You can also do, electronic, archiving and give that services to the company. Scan those documents, keep in a, soft copy form, and whenever required, it can be retrieved by the banks. So I think that's another business that we can look into. A shared call center, that is also possible. Call center is a big business everywhere, which is mostly outsourced. But still, in our country, the banks are still running their call centers on their own. Why? Because BPO companies have not come up to the standard. Now, if BPO companies come up to the standards, definitely bank will find benefit because the cost will be lower and it will be a professional thing. So definitely, banks will give that business to the BPO companies. So I think that's a good area or big area that we can explore, and not only in Bangladesh, in from other countries as well. And Bangladesh, a lot of young people are coming out of English medium schools. They have good accents, and they actually can, be agents in call centers, running call centers very efficiently. So I think that's a big, and good potential business that Bangladesh can look for. And another is managed sales force. I think that is something that also banks would like to, outsource to BPOs. So Salesforce managing, giving them a target, commission-based thing, that is also possible. The next step. Now, what is the next destination for BPO banking in the banking industry? First of all, I think we need to create an agile, multi-skilled, and international standard working force in BPO. Otherwise, as I said, the business will not come. Second is we need to design our processes and implement the regulator standards so that we can actually fetch that business. And the third is infrastructure development. Redundant power supplies. Power supply is a problem. If you have a data center and the power supply is from the same source, and if the power goes down, the whole data center will go down. So I think redundant power supply is uninterrupted data connectivity, IT infrastructure, park facility. All these are the next steps where we can look into. If these infrastructure are there, I think BPOs will definitely, be able to flourish and fetch business not only locally, but from international sources. So that's all from my keynote paper. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Arshad. Of course, we'll be listening from him while we are going further deep dive. That yes, what they are thinking, that yes, can banks like Standard Chartered think of outsourcing some of their services, be it back office, be it processing, be it getting aligned with the mega trend in the industry, or even the analytics business. We are getting to see the customer trend or the client consumer trend or the client trend analysis, what they are going to do in future, how they are changing their behavioral pattern. You would see some of the US banks, UK banks, especially in their wealth management opportunity space, they are also thinking of not only back office or the mundane processing job, also the analytics job to the BPOs, to the other outsource agencies. And Arshad has rightly mentioned about shared data center or shared call center, IT help desk, but can a BPO industry sustain on shared data center or IT help desk or call center? Whether we need to do more, we'll be again listening from him and picking his brain little bit more, that yes, what could be the next possible challenges. And I consciously, as the humble moderator of this session, would like to go beyond the agreed parameter in the last or previous BPO summit. We need to go further, that what is challenging us, what are the bottlenecks to outsource some of our financial services, some of our processing activities to the BPO industry in Bangladesh, if not outside also. And he has put up some of the challenges also. These are very valid challenges kind of thing, credential of the BPO company and the standards that those are following. Because of course for cost rationalization, we would like to outsource some of our services, but at the same time you would see with all these things happening around the world, there is a serious focus on the global standardization. Are we speaking the same language with regard to data confidentiality? Are we speaking the same language with regard to data integrity, KYC, and the domain knowledge of the outsourced company? So we'll be talking about all this, and if time permits, we'll also try to provoke a lot of kind of comments and especially challenges and ideas from the audience also. And now I'm breaking the norm a little bit. I would like to invite Mr. Topon Kanti Sarkar, the founder president of CTO Forum. And these CTOs, they are very important stakeholder of the banking industry, financial industry. They are mostly emanating from the country's finance industry. So Mr. Topon Kanti Sarkar has been trying a lot from both the side, yes, how the bank's data processing can be smoothened further. At the same time, how do we reduce the necessary cost or the running cost in the finance industry, and can we really outsource some of our finance industry activities to the BPO industry? So Mr. Topon Kanti, as I have mentioned at the very outset, he also has a brief presentation. That is why I have decided to prepone his presentation so that we can get into the opinion forming and awareness forming activities after his presentation. Mr. Topon Kanti Sarkar.
Thank you, Mamun Bhai. It's a great privilege for me to speak in front of Mamun Bhai, who is a veteran banker. He has dominated banking sector for a long time in multinationals and lot of experience. Now he's working with PwC, one of the big 4 companies in Bangladesh. So it is indeed a great pleasure for me to speak in front of you as a CTO Forum president. Though BPO is not all about technology, this is all about business and opportunities, how things are happening around the world. So first of all, I would like to discuss something about the outsourcing, how it's defined actually. What do we mean by outsourcing? People actually define outsourcing in many ways, but I think this is my own opinion, is that outsourcing is an arrangement under which the service provider undertakes to perform a service, including a business activity, functions or process, which would otherwise be undertaken by the institution itself. Usually includes service which are being outsourced from institution to a service provider and new service being launched. So as Arshad Bhai has mentioned, he is one of the leading CIO of Standard Chartered Bank, who is, I think he is holding a big portfolio also. Standard Chartered Bank has outsourced many of their services, I know. And as a CTO of NCC Bank, last bank where I worked for as a CTO, I have also outsourced many of the service, like our disaster recovery center. You know, in banking we maintain 3 data centers. One is the main data center, one is first tier, one is second tier. So according to the Bangladesh Bank guideline, now all the banks, they will have to maintain 1 main data center and 2 tier center, disaster recovery center outside the country, outside the city. Minimum distance is 30 kilometers, but it's better if you can do it. And another 3rd tier, which will be in a different seismic zone. So some of the now outsourcing data centers, now they have set up their data center in Joshua. So we have also outsourced our service to a outsourced company who are taking care of our first tier and second tier. So like that, many banks, not only my bank, I know 4 or 5 banks, they have already joined with that company. And that the Mamun Bhai, the question raised, how the outsourcing companies, they will survive. Actually, they cannot survive with 2 or 3 banks. So they need also more banks to join. So in what I have seen in banking industry in Bangladesh is that they want to be follower. So you need someone who will first take the challenge and later seeing the possibility and risk, other bank will join with you. So that's the way outsourcing things are happening. I think it will come over, and the main benefit for the bank is that in my bank, through outsourcing this data center, we have saved 12 lakh taka per month. So if you consider it into 12 months, it's more than a crore taka. So that's the thing banks are now considering, because banks are now in serious pressure for single-digit interest rate. So if they want to do that, they will have to outsource many of the service activities which are happening around the globe. And one thing Arshad Bhai has said, that the core banking functions banks are not willing to do. Why they are not willing to do? My presentation is basically on that. Why banks are not taking this kind of risk? Is that why normally we outsource? First is access to specialist and world-class capabilities. Why do the bank outsource? Because they want to get, we know which one, the business process, what we are adopting, is it world-class or not. The business, many of the banks in Bangladesh, especially the local bank, they are following each other. If you go to their business process or their documentation manual, you will see that all the banks are, many of the private banks are following all Janata Bank has done. But that could not be a good example for bank. I think at one stage, those state-owned banks were the leader of the bank, but now I think multinational banks, they are following the business standard, global standard. So many banks are now trying to follow the, like Standard Chartered Bank, HSBC, or this kind of thing, because they are following the best practices of the world. So that's why bank will outsource, because through outsourcing, they will get the best of the best services. Cost saving is also one of the factors, what I have already told you. Time to market. So you will have to be competitive in the market. Banks are now 56 banks, they are competing with each other. Nowadays, once upon a time, customer used to come to bank. Now banks are going to the customer. So this is the marketplace. This is the market scenario. For time to market, you will also have to be. You need those kind of things. Using multiple delivery location to mitigate risk. Risk mitigation is now big challenges for the bank. You know, all the banks are now under Basel II, Basel III is coming around. So to adapt those kind of things, you will also have to mitigate risk, and risk is the major factor for the bank now. Direct resource to core functions. As Mamun Bhai have mentioned in his, is the domain knowledge expertise. For doing outsourcing business, you need lot of domain expert in your organization. If you see the Indian software companies like Infosys, FlexCube or others, if you check their profile, you will see more than 40% of their employees are ex-banker. That means they have gathered a huge domain knowledge expertise in their company who looks around the business process and other things. That gives a comfort also to the bank that in your company you have a lot of domain expert. That will give you an assurance that I can give that service to you. So that is also one of the major factors. Managing technology and other risk. The technology managed in our country, whether you have a data center, you have good server, good application, are they managed professionally? Are we doing our best? The data cleansing is one of the measures. The data, what is coming from your report, the data which is giving your application, what is in our IT language we call single version of truth. Whether all the reports are similar, whether data is clean, whether data are pure data, that's very important. So you are using a best software of the world, you are using best server of the world, you have very good people, but whether your data, whether your business process or best practices are you are adopting, this is also very important factor. Another thing is availability of increasingly high quality service provider. So there are a lot of outsourcing companies that are going to bank, we can do that, we can do that. Whether they are having the good people and whether they are also under the IT audit. Banks are compulsorily, Bangladesh Bank is auditing, Bangladesh Bank has a compulsory rule that you will have to, banks, they will have to audit their process and other thing. But the service provider, whether they are being audited by the or professional audit firm, whether their service processes are regulated, whether they have business process manuals in place. All these things are very important for the banks to know when they will outsource a service to you. Now many of the banks, they have already outsourced. What are the activities which normally considered outsourced? What are the services bank can outsource? It's application processing and client onboarding process. This is one of the service. Customer service center, policy and account administration, example, invoicing, statement, policy renewals. These are the things can be outsourced. IT system, data processing software, data center, disaster recovery center, as I have said earlier. IT security software, IT support, example, like application and desktop support, HR management and payroll support, Arshad Bhai has already mentioned, marketing and research. These are the few areas. There are many areas more than like credit card service, credit card application form, credit card verification, credit card delivery. So these are also services like that could be outsourced. Another thing is happening in Bangladesh, as Arshad Bhai has mentioned, that checkbook processing. This service is all the banks are now taking outsource. That checkbook printing, now that MICR check, when they have come into the business, all the banks are outsourcing this service to the vendor. So this is one of the area all the banks are taking that support from the outsourcing industries. Another thing is coming that the ATM machine. Many of the banks who are crossing their ATM, they have more than 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 ATM. They are now in big pressure of maintaining all these ATM machines, maintaining all the machines properly, feeding money to this ATM, IT security service. ATM IT security and ATM cash feeding service that has already been outsourced. I know 2 or 3 of the vendors who are doing these things, but challenge is also there, whether those companies are maintaining proper professionally, maintained, or whether they have SOP, or they are, whether they are being audited. These are the things to be considered later. Why regulating outsourcing? Regulation is, I think, is very, very important factor, because when that should be regulated, then it will actually bring trust to the people, trust to the customer, trust to the bank, trust to the shareholder. Just as it is necessary to regulate certain industries, for the same reason, some regulator consider it necessary to regulate outsourcing within those industries. Like, the key purpose of regulation is to protect customer interest, example, depositors, or in case of insurance, it may be policyholders. Regulation also fulfill the following purposes, like to ensure that regulator maintain control over the regulated institution, to protect shareholder and other who fund the organization, to protect supplier themselves. So regulation is not one side, it is actually needed for both the side, safety and security. What are the risks? Risk is, for outsourcing, what are the risks? Loss of control over the service. Say, in case of check processing, all the bank has given their MICR check to the outsourced company, whether they are maintaining properly. It has been reported in the newspaper that many companies who are printing checkbook within their companies, that has been found in the street of some banks, and in their business process, whether they are being controlled. So this is the control of the outsourcing companies. Cultural change and loss of personal touch. When actually jobs are being outsourced, in the bank side, they do not maintain people to look after their day-to-day activity. It's not required, but if there are personal touch is not there, the big level of job what you are outsourcing, the risk cannot be mitigated. Loss of business knowledge, and many may be difficult to bring service back. Loss of business knowledge, that's I have mentioned already earlier, the domain knowledge, whether you have proper domain knowledge people in your company. Lack of expertise within the industry. In our country, actually, we are facing shortage of expert in business domain people. Data security and protection, turnover of personnel, service provider failure. So these are the measures risks what I see as for the BPO industries growth. And BPO is not it's a matter of common sense. It's not that big things like regulations operate within a view to prevent bad outsourcing deal. There are many outsourcing companies, so it's big problem for the bank to find out who are the good companies, who are the bad companies. There is no, like for big software companies, you can analyze them through, there are a lot of data available, who are number one, who are number two, who are number three. But in a growing country, growing economy like Bangladesh, there is no organization who are evaluating who are number one service provider company, who are number two. Ranking of those companies are also very important. So it will also give comfort to the banks to outsource their service. So am I crossing my
Yes.
line? So actually
If
I
you could
have
finish.
2 or 3 of the, so Mamun Bhai is looking at me, he's giving me.
You will have another
Okay.
opportunity
So,
also.
so I would like to conclude here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Topan Gandhi Sarkar. What has we have seen from both of them, in fact, that they have spotted some of the areas where the banks and financial institutions can outsource some of their activities. Also, we have heard from him about the data integrity. Data is being produced after the processing, that is the quality of that data. Another 2 things, very important things he has brought up. One is the kind of regulating the BPO industry and how they should behave, and how, if anything goes wrong, how the banks and financial institutions can get hold of them, how they can be straightened up, they can be disciplined. At the end of the day, of course, we'll be signing a contract, and this contract is supposed to be guided by some of the laws and regulations of the country. However, the legal domain, however, the legal support, legal knowledge, and the compliance to those legal diktat by the BPO companies itself. These are very pertinent points. I would like to profoundly thank Mr. Topan Gandhi Sarkar, and again, it is not stopping him in between. I'm sorry if I behave like that, but what I'm planning to do will again bring them back, especially 2 of the keynote as well as the quasi-keynote presenter today, who is Mr. Topan Gandhi Sarkar. Now, let us get back to the Islami Bank, the largest private sector bank in the country, and they have been going through a standardization process. Lot of their processes are being re-looked at, realigned at, and I know for sure they have engaged many consultants, many global advisory or financial sector consulting firms to re-look at their processes, standardize their process, upgrade their process. So we'll listen from the Senior Vice President and Head of Business Promotion and Marketing Division, Development Wing of Islami Bank, Dr. M. Kamaluddin. How are they tackling their emerging data integrity need, data outsourcing need, data standardization need, and whether they are thinking of outsourcing some of these services, some of these back office, mid office activities to some of the BPO companies. And then again, once we open up the floor, maybe there will be more questions coming to him, because as they are moving forward with standardization of their process, so where do they see the intervention from the BPO companies? Mr. Kamaluddin.
Honorable Moderator, Mr. Mamun sir, keynote presenters, resource persons, distinguished learned participants, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and very good morning. I am extremely privileged to express my gratitude to the ICT Ministry and BACO for arranging such a event, BPO Summit Bangladesh 2016. Actually, Nowadays, BPO has emerged as a very important issue in the world. In Bangladesh, it has been started in 2008 through introduction of call center particularly, though since long informally, lot of outsourcing practices taking place in Bangladesh. In many sectors, RMG sector, we are leading the second Dorji Bari of the world, next to China. It is also part of outsourcing. The Europe and America is outsourcing from our country, our people providing the services to them. Remittance service also, it's also part of outsourcing. Lot of informal outsourcing is being practiced in Bangladesh since long. Apartment building, house building, it's a part of outsourcing. Earlier, people used to build their own home with a Rajmistri, but now they are not doing this. They are outsourcing the other expert builder. They are doing this on behalf of the owner. So these lot of areas are being practiced in Bangladesh informally, but formal outsourcing has been emerged few days back. So our topic is financial sector outsourcing and win-win situation for both the party, BPO and financial sector. Before me, two papers has been presented by the very learned expert. The paper was very well structured, well presented, well designed. Many areas, most of the areas has been covered through these papers, and our moderator also identified, recognized many areas and directed many issues which is very important and vital issue relating to this topic. In financial sector, our central bank in 2015 issued a circular number 2, 19th January, allowing outsourcing for financial sector. Many areas they identified we can outsource. Earlier, this was very small area was practiced, but after the circular of central bank, we have got a very good support from the central bank to avail the outsourcing services. If we look into the BPO of the world, we see the growth of BPO business is about 100%. Every year, the growth of BPO, business process outsourcing, is 100%, which is largest growth in all compared to other sectors. And market value of outsourcing $130 million, and presently Bangladesh 30,000 people are involved in BPO, 30,000. And government support is very important, pertinent. They have provided a lot of services, and they built high-tech park under the able leadership of the ICT minister, and the support with the guidance of the advisor to the Prime Minister. They are also providing a lot of supports so as to will be encouraged to go ahead in this regard. In the world scenario is BPO, presently world $500 billion market. And among these, India has $140 billion, Philippines $22 billion, and Sri Lanka $3 billion. In Bangladesh, only 180 million. With the vision of 2021, the digital Bangladesh, the government has set the target for 2021, $1 billion by 2021. So we have a big target, big vision to avail this opportunity. So why we'll get this opportunity? We have a lot of advantages. One is comparative cost advantage, Another is it has been declared as third sector. and located geographically advantageous location in terms of time zone. Another very vital issue that is very important, that is we are enjoying demographic dividend era. You know, 66% workforce between 18 to 60 years age. The age area is very important. Workforce, young force is in our country, which is not equal to the other countries. China is enjoying, but they will complete the demographic dividend zone within few years. So Bangladesh has this opportunity to enjoy the demographic dividend era. So it is very important. The Bangladesh Bank, regarding outsourcing by financial sector, has issued a circular. If I classify this circular in 4 class, that will be very important. That regarding general banking, and another is credit and loans, and third is foreign exchange, import, export, and remittance, and fourth one is knowledge-based outsourcing. If I classify all these services of financial sector in 4 class, we find in general banking, deposit client hunting, it may be outsourced, telephone operator, help desk, service or getter, address and document verification is very important. Few years back, AML, CFT, you know, AML and safety and KYC is very important. Without knowing the customer, we cannot provide any services to the customer, because that will bring a great risk. That is why verification of the document, verification of the information of the customer is very important. Through the very expert scholar, we are collecting this data, KYC, from the customer who has opened 20 years back his account. At that time, his residence was another place, and then he's shifted. His office has been shifted. He may be expired. He may be a lot of things. He was tender. Now he's aged. Many issues has been changed. But latest data we cannot collect by our own forces. In this respect, we can utilize, we can employ outsource people with less cost. So this document verification is very important. Account opening, clearing, KYC update, many issues has been addressed by our previous paper presenters. ATM and CDM, ATM cash loading, unloading, all these issues. Credit and debit card delivery issue, consumer and SME updating, printing of check, which has been addressed. Anniversary of event management of a bank, of financial institution, that can be outsourced. That is also in practice, I think. Service related doorstep banking, mobile financial services, you know, that is totally outsourced based services, and agent banking, you know. Bcash does Bangla Bank, Mcash, many other mobile financial services, still they are outsourcing, and all the services based on the outsourcing. Agent banking, you know, very vital issue. To inclusion, for inclusion of the mass people, agent banking is unparalleled. Every door, every corner, you can expand, you can disseminate your banking services through agent banking. That should not be run by the core personnel of the bank. That should be maintained by the outsourced people. That is very important. That is why agent banking and mobile financial service is very important. Regarding credit and loan services, many issues are there. Initial investment client hunting, initial data entry, investment file processing. Private CIB support parallel to the central bank. Another issue, CIB is being maintained by the central bank, but privately another CIB can be maintained, through which we can be confident regarding our client, prospective client, prior to having the information from the central bank CIB. That is very important. So parallel to the central bank CIB, we can run another CIB. It is being practiced in United States, you know. Credit rating agency, it is in practice, credit rating, investment related security verification, charge creation, registration, stock verification and valuation also. Storing, warehousing, physical record and document, warehousing, store management, godown management, searching of genuinity of title deed, porcha, all these documents, deeds, valuation, papers, that also can be done through outsourced people. Another is after investment, that is factoring, recovery from the clients. The due date, when his installment is due, the 31st December is due. The bank's official usually they are very busy. Then we can employ other people who can maintain these issues, reminding the clients the due date, installment date, or recovery issues. This is called factoring. In our country, not yet started. I think, as I know, I don't know whether Mamun sir is aware of. I know that is in our country it is not in practice. But other countries, Sri Lanka or many other Asian countries, they have already employed, started factoring through the outsourced people. They will collect the loan recovery in time with less cost. And regarding foreign exchange also, we can see that many issues we can maintain through outsource, that is export, import, client hunting, LC processing also, data entry, opening LC. In some banks you see the data entry is being done by CDCS people. It's very expert in foreign exchange, but they are doing this very teeny job, the data entry, just putting the data. It can be outsourced. IRC and C&F, clearing and forwarding, it is still already outsourced. PSI, pre-shipment inspection, already it is under outsourced. Bill of entry collection, student file verification. Those who are going to outside for study, this file verification is needed. That can be done by outsourced people. Endorsement processing also, foreign exchange return to bank, central bank, export, LC processing, verification of bonded warehouse. Many of the areas of foreign exchange we can do through outsourced people, which is presently being done by banking expert, those who are very costly, having more than 1 lakh taka salary, but we can do it having paying only 20 or 30,000 taka, very low, less costly. But one thing, I should not indicate that all jobs should be done by the outsource, but core business, core banking issue, which has been prohibited by the central bank, that cannot be outsourced, but only those areas are allowed by the central bank, we can go. And one thing which has been addressed by our previous speaker, regulation, compliance, that is a must. It doesn't mean we'll outsource all the jobs, all the tasks by the other people, but we will be neglecting, we will be reluctant regarding our compliance. It is not at all. We cannot do it. Compliance is a must. Compliance first. Having the compliance issue, we can do it. Our moderator, Mr. Mamun sir, said that our bank, the largest private sector bank, already outsourced regarding the compliance. Kroll International, you know, the Singapore-based organization, very renowned organization regarding compliance. We have outsourced. We have employed them. They are looking after, they are guiding us. All these issues are being looked after by the Kroll. And another consultant also have been employed by the Islamic Bank, Bangladesh Limited, who is the renowned referred scholar who was supposed to present today's program, Mr. Sarwar sir. He is known to our Mamun sir, I think. We are doing all these issues regarding compliance and regulatory issues. No scope to be reluctant in this compliance. So outsource is important, outsourcing important, but neglecting compliance, neglecting AML, safety, other issues, it is very vital. We cannot do it. Another areas, apart from the foreign exchange and GB and investment, that is knowledge, special knowledge outsourcing. We can do it. We can employ recruitment process. Through IBA, through BIBM, we can recruit our people, personnel. That can be outsourced because they are efficient. We, the banker, actually we are not efficient. We can employ IB or many other organization to employ recruitment process. And another is mystery shopping, you know. The customers satisfaction, customers position, whether they are satisfied with our services, whether they have any question, any suggestion, any complaint, that should be analyzed by the mystery shopping. The organization will maintain the account, they will evaluate the customer satisfaction. As a customer, they will enter into the bank, and since 6 months or 1 year he will get your services. After that he will provide a report and provide an analysis, provide a research paper to your bank, how much satisfied your customers. That can be done through mystery shopping research organization. And payroll processing, CSR program, customer or industry market survey, research of banking product, strategic plan, many of the areas we can employ the outsourcing people, through which bank also can do the banking services, so that our cost, our time, our speed can be minimized, which has been addressed by our first paper presenter. He said that cost minimization is a very important objective of outsourcing, and finally speed and satisfaction of the customer. So I think outsourcing has been started in Bangladesh, and which can be adopted by the financial sector, and through which we can render our services to the doorstep of the customers, so that everybody will be satisfied. We'll try to satisfy them, and cost, time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kamaluddin.
So
Thank you so much.
So I with the thanks the audience and the panelists and the moderator, I want to conclude here. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Most of these presentations or the discussions hovered around that, yes, what can be outsourced. And incidentally and little bit surprisingly, and these were the issues discussed in the last BPO summit also. As I have mentioned, and I am personally committed to all of you, what could be the next step? Yes, these are the areas where which we have spotted the processes can be outsourced. So now I would like to listen from two of our distinguished paper presenters or the presenters, that yes, we have heard about, say, disaster recovery, we have heard about, say, client onboarding, we have heard about ATM cash uploading, ATM management, and many other newer areas, though in practice has been also highlighted and spotted by Dr. Kamaluddin himself. So I now would like to listen from Arshad. Yes, we have heard what can be outsourced. Then from his own experience in the capacity of head of operations and technology at the largest and most profitable international bank in Bangladesh, and also respected for their business process re-engineering, continuous commitment to business process re-engineering, to tell us in 2 minutes time, I'm so sorry, 2 minutes time, that yes, what else they are contemplating to outsource and where he sees the challenges. This can be given to him, na?
Sorry, I missed your question. What is the
question is that
exact
yes,
question?
you have, all of you have spotted and highlighted what can be outsourced, and some of the already outsourced items in that, like disaster recovery, client onboarding, client verification, or ATM cash uploading. What are the other areas where you see can be outsourced with bit of fixing here and there? And where do you see the challenges in outsourcing those newer activities?
Away from the conventional ones that we spoke, like data center outsourcing or network outsourcing or other type of activities that our Dr. Kamaluddin mentioned, I think the newer areas can be research, market research, that the banks do not have the capability to do. And there are a lot of companies outside Bangladesh, I have seen, that they do this data mining, big data research, and they are called data scientists. They bring in different kind of data and present to the banks that, look, there is an opportunity. Okay, just giving you an example. In Singapore, they have analyzed that mobile phone can be tracked. So the mobile phone users, after getting out of the office, where do they go? And they have found out that in some areas people have, stuck to their vicinity or, home. Whereas in some areas people go in different areas. So with these data, what they have done is they have given this to the MRT company, the, subway or MRT company, that look, these are the people who go, this is the traffic which goes this way, this is the traffic which goes this way, and this is how you can manage the load. Similarly, they have given this data to the restaurants that look, in this area people go out of the, out of their home, away from their area to have dinner or lunch. And this is the area where people do not go. And it was found out that, where people go outside their home or area is a more affluent community, and where people stick is a middle income group. So, data can be very powerful. So I think one of the newer areas where, outsourcing can be done is research, market research. Similarly, sales kind of thing is also very important. So apart from the conventional ones that we mentioned here and also in the last BPO, I think worth mentioning is the market research.
Thank you. And the challenges you see that if you are outsourcing some of the data business, some of the analytics business, some of the data mining business, biometric banking business, where do you see the challenges?
Mainly two challenges I see. One is, the confidentiality part of it. Financial industries are, very sensitive data they handle. So financial institutions want to ensure that whatever they are outsourcing, this will not go out in the market or to their competitors. So that's the number one, confidence that BPOs have to give to the financial industries. And there is a challenge. We have seen in Bangladesh that data being leaked from outsourcing companies, and that needs to be stopped. That is one challenge. And the second challenge is, again, IT security, whether it is subject to any hacking, the system goes down, whether, data can be, again, leakage. All these kind of precautions must be taken to ensure. So this is one, and these are two challenges that I see are very, very relevant to these days.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to ask Mr. Topon Kanti Sarkar that he has worked for many years in banks managing their IT services. So where does he see the challenges or the shyness on behalf of the bank and the financial institutions in outsourcing some of the more processing job to the BPOs?
Thank you, Maman Bhai. Already many of the areas has been identified, and Arshad Bhai has already...
Now where do you see where the banks are shy of?
Yeah.
Where what they need to do more? Why they are not coming forward?
Banks are coming forward, but they are not coming to the level what was expected by the industry. Is not. But I can put up some of the examples, like in my bank when we have outsourced the credit card identity verification or the recovery of credit card. Those are the 2 or 3 services as head of IT and card division I have outsourced. But I have seen the performance of those outsourced companies are not up to the mark. Say, I have sent them to I have given some credit card numbers and I have already completed agreement with them. And I was wondered that the kind of agreement they have signed, if I am on the other side, I won't, I won't sign that agreement. Even I believe they have not gone into the agreement, what was written by the bank. Normally when bank sign an agreement with any vendor, they go through the process like vetting to the legal. But the other company who has come forward to render his service for recovery collection, he have not analyzed the kind of risks I have given to on his part. And I have seen that he has recruited very chief people who does not have any idea of how to recover money. And many of the cases I have found that his people has gone to the people, he has collected the money, but that money was not deposited to the bank side. So these are the few examples. It's not that all the companies are of that side. Probably I had 4 companies out of 1 performance was that. So what I have discussed earlier is that the quality service provider ranking of the companies outsourcing the service, whether his trust level is in which level. So I also don't expect that a company who is taking the challenge of recovery, he will maintain so many processes like bank. But at least he will have to recruit people who are trusted, at least their verifications. So what is his past verification? Because his reputation is actually linked with the bank reputation. When he is going to collect the money, he is going as a bank representative. So because of his poor performance, bank performance may affect. So these are the one example. But there are also good companies also. It doesn't mean that all the companies are bad. There are good companies who are doing good recovery. So this is also other thing what Mamun Bhai have mentioned is that feasibility of the viability of the business. The people who are coming on the outsourcing company, they are going through different challenges. They are taking the business, quoting the low rate. So whether banks are willing to pay good or a feasible amount by which the company who is providing the outsourcing service is sustainable for them. So these are also very important to know. But what I see is that I don't want to mention other area, but even in banking area, there are many services banks are actually keen to outsource, like application processing. New application processing is a big challenge because there are a lot of compulsory, mandatory field need to be filled during the bank account opening, but normally bank people do not do it. They do it in the later part, and for that wrong data posting, many reports cannot be generated automatically, like CIB report. There are some few columns you will have to take the KYC or TP, transaction profile of the customer. Many of the banks, they do not collect all these things. They give some fictitious value to that, and because of that, the CIB or some of the auto-generated report cannot be generated from the good software also. So these are also very important to know the business process and domain knowledge of the outsource company. Thank you
so
very
much. Thank you so much. I just want to briefly know from Dr. Kamaluddin that yes, we have heard they have outsourced some of their processes, some of their compliance job to globally renowned firms outside the country. What would influence him, that to get those business done locally by a BPO company in Bangladesh? How our own BPO companies need to mark up, come forward, develop, so that they also get some of those new or emerging activities those Islamic Bank as a large financial institution would like to outsource. Very brief, please.
Thank you, sir. It's very important question raised by our honorable moderator, Mamun sir. Islamic Bank, the largest private sector bank in Bangladesh, is outsourcing compliance issue to look after the compliance issue. International renowned Kroll International, Singapore-based, worldwide renowned organization.
Just what would have prompted you to consider a local company, similar company to do the job?
Yes, actually.
What they need to do?
Actually, in Bangladesh, this sorts of expertise, I think, not yet emerged, I think. I am hopeful and confident that if the senior bankers and like Mamun sir, if they invest their time in this regard, it is possible for Bangladeshi scholars to contribute in this regard, like internationally renowned Kroll International. I think it is possible, and gradually it will be developed, because our people is very much expert, and if they get guide, they can do it. Thank you, sir.
For the interest of time, and I have to also come to the audience. So at this point in time, I would like to invite my distinguished colleague, Mr. Orijit Chakraborty, who was invited by the BPO Summit to speak on big data, and Arshadul Hassan has spoken little bit on big data and the new emerging areas also, Mr. Topon Kanti. But I won't ask Mr. Orijit Chakraborty only to focus on this big data or the newer or emerging issues. And as Dr. Kamaluddin has mentioned, the rise of Indian BPO industry, almost 100 billion plus minus industry. And number two, what are the mega trend he is seeing in the Indian finance industry? Those activities are being outsourced. And number three, and how more of the global data processing business or global outsourcing business can be attracted by Bangladesh BPO industry. And if we may kindly quote and refer to his experience of managing and advising Indian BPO industry. Mr. Orijit Chakraborty has been engaged with the Indian BPO industry advising for many, many years, also outside India.
Thank you. Just to give a perspective, the way financial services organizations worldwide think about their business before they come to any kind of outsourcing decision. So they look into their business into like three segments. I mean,
Orijit, can you come here, if you don't mind?
Sure. So what they do, they look into their business into three segments. The first segment is what they call the back office operations, then the middle office operations, and finally the front office or customer interaction operations. So within each of these verticals, what they look into it is that whether they have certain set of core activities and then certain set of non-core activities. And then they decide whether they want to keep the capabilities of doing non-core activities internally or they would outsource that. For the core activities, they also take a call that whether they are the expert in doing things or there are actually better expertise residing in the marketplace. And then they start taking the outsourcing decisions. And while doing that outsourcing decisions, what they also do, they start looking into their talent base. All the financial services companies, they have their own workforce, and they start defining the new role, which typically called the outsourcing professionals, people who outsource the activities to the suppliers, and then eventually monitor how services are being purchased and services being consumed by the companies. So that's the perspective typically the financial services companies take. For the service provider, this gives them an opportunity. The way they are looking into their services, if a service providing or a BPO organization also starts looking into the business in the same fashion, then they would clearly know that what is being identified as a non-core activity there could actually my revenue generator here. So I need to build capabilities over here. And that's where the win-win situation started emerging. Initially, there are a lot of fear in various things with respect to the confidentiality, how the services will be done, and that things matured over the period of time. Many banks and financial services companies, they actually started testing the water by forming their captive centers. So what essentially means, the process that I'm trying to outsource, that process is moving out of my branch, the process is moving out of my corporate office, the headquarters, but the process is not really moving out of my company. So it's sitting somewhere in a low-cost jurisdiction, which could be in South Asian country like India or Bangladesh. And then that captive center gets developed as part of the company. And they're actually working like a professional service provider, providing services to the company. So that's how the overall services ecosystem started emerging. The second element that comes is about the core activities. Like we talked about a lot about technology. Now technology spans the various segments of the services, financial services area. It could be a back office, it could be in the front office also. And there, in today's world, data plays an important role. And it plays such an important role as companies like Capital One in US, they started classifying them like we are actually as much as technology company like we are a financial services company, because our workforce are building capabilities to manage, understand, and generate insights out of data. So the question that we asked companies like that, I mean, what are your realizations? So they said like, we are increasingly realizing that it's not always the data that are getting generated by us. Data can come outside. So that's outsourced data. creating insight out of the data cannot be our capability as well. There are experts residing outside. So we are actually looking about thinking, getting the analytics as a service from the experts, and then using that to grow our business. So that's how the ecosystem develops, where the core activities also remaining outside, and it's a win-win situation for the service provider as well as for the bank. And that's how the trend is also going to impacting. The mega trends that we see from the PwC's point of view, there are two big mega trends that are going to impact the financial services industry, and as well as the service providers to that industry as well. The first one is rapid urbanization, where we are increasingly seeing the population in the urban space are increasing with respect to the rural space. And what we have seen, like urban people usually buy more products and services from financial services organizations than the rural population. So that's a revenue booster or business booster for the financial services companies. Now the service providers or the BPO organizations which are providing services to them, if they can also align accordingly, so it's kind of like having the skin in the game, like if your business grows, my business grows as well. And if we can put our thinking in that particular line, the services will also grow as an overall business. The second mega trend that is going to impact the financial services industry is the technological breakthrough. So it's going to impact the back office, it's going to impact the middle office, it's going to impact the front office services altogether. And depending upon how both the BPO service providers as well as the financial services companies, they cope up and adopt those technological changes, I think that will redefine the new landscape as well. So that's in short the way I have been seeing that industry is emerging. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to open the floor. While I'm opening the floor, please remember we have done acquitted each one of you not to thank ourselves. So don't waste time. Only you can thank BPO Summit organizers, not anyone else. Be brief, be very precise. Either ask a question, precise question, or to any one of us, or more importantly, put up your own opinion how Bangladesh BPO industry can make best use of the emerging global trends, emerging regional trends, emerging financial services activities being outsourced to one or two or multiple agencies, okay? Remain very focused, and please do not make your deliberation more than 2 minutes. Then I will be forced to stop, because we would like to invite more and more opinion and relevant opinion from the floor. Thank you so much. So raise your hand, tell your name, and don't thank anyone, including me, and go to the attack mode.
It is Nazmul Hassan Saniabad. I am just starting a financial service. It is named as Ramro Payment Solution with the cooperation of USA experts and Nepali experts. So the new sector in the international market, in the financial sector, is the web-based banking. It is very important. And nowadays in our country, most of the companies we are using like PayPal or Swift and all these things, they are very, very expensive. So we started our company here in Bangladesh, so it will be less expensive. And then even the mobile banking is more expensive than the web banking. So I am inviting all the financial institutions to start your banking in web banking. It is easy for all the clients to handle. And one thing I have to share with the Islamic Bank people, the factoring has started in Bangladesh long ago. I am also the garments manufacturer and exporter. We are taking factoring of the different company, overseas company. They are functioning in Bangladesh, but I am inviting the local sponsor to start their factoring company here in Bangladesh as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was very precise and very focused. Thank you so much, Mr. Sharneogo. Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. My name is
name?
Shams.
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Shams, and actually, I'm just trying to give a second thought to this whole topics, like financial services, outsourcing financial services, not from the bank, but from any business. And win-win situation for the BPO and financial sector, That means the financial sector is the banks or other financial institutions, and BPO is not the organizations, but the people like us, like young talented people. And the thing is that we have billion-dollar business, as mentioned by our honorable ICT advisor to the Prime Minister. So we have million-dollar business. But the fact is, like Dr. Kamal said here, that in the banks, I have seen like CDCS people are actually doing the returns or doing the commercial job. Now, it is not mentioned anywhere that it is your responsibility. But the fact is, it is the responsibility of the client to the bank. So will the banks be thinking to actually stop providing this service to their clients so that these clients will come to us? And this is not the objective. The objective is we will train ourselves and then we will get the business. Like for example, in a loan processing, you need the balance sheets. You need the profit and loss statements. You need the cash flows. Now, who is making it for SME? It's the banker. Why? So I will ask the banker to stop supporting making these things so that we people can make it. And it is not our target. Our target is to provide this service to USA, to UK, to Australia through the application packages like QuickBooks, Xero, and other applications like in Bangladesh we have Troi, we have from India we have Tali. So these are the application packages we can use. So this is my second thought. So I will request again that will the bank officials, the policymakers, be thinking again to stop providing these sort of services, which is not part of their job anyways. Thank you very much.
Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, I'm a chartered accountant and I want to some question. That today's topic was the financial services, but bank is not the client of the big client of the financial services, but most of the private company or others are as a finance accountant. I said that today's topics was the outside of the discussion, but sorry, my panel discussion, but I want to say that most of the we are as a accountant of the finance accountant, we are the most of the outsourcing work on the Xero, QuickBooks. It's a discussion was the me on these topics. Can I use in Bangla?
No. For you, no, because you will be selling your services to the outside agencies. So
জি
remain
স্যার,
in English.
মানে আমি যেটা বলতে চাচ্ছি সেটা হচ্ছে মূলত ফিনান্সিয়াল যে আউটসোর্সিং এর ব্যাপারটা সেটা হচ্ছে মানে অ্যাকাউন্টিং প্রসেস আউটসোর্সিং, এপিও আর ফিনান্সিয়াল প্রসেস আউটসোর্সিং এফপিও, এগুলি মূলত মানে যেটা আমরা বুঝি যে ফিনান্সিয়াল সার্ভিসেস বলতে, কিন্তু মূলত এটিএম বুথ, চেক প্রিন্টিং, ইটস নট ফিনান্সিয়াল সার্ভিসেস, but it's a very good discussion if any CA firm partner if he appear here. That was a very good discussion.
Thank you so much. Of course, I'm sure the organizer of the BPO summit, they are also listening to you. So next time, maybe they should consider bringing in a chartered accountant or a member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants Bangladesh. You must have noted, isn't it? Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I am Hassan Habib from the leading commercial bank in Bangladesh, Islamic Bank Bangladesh Limited. Thanks to the organizers. Yes, sir.
Be very brief.
Thanks to the organizers for arranging such a summit.
You are thinking again. Please.
My question is that we have we have spotted all the possible scopes of outsourcing agencies. I think the outsourcing agents companies are ready and the banks are ready to take the services. But do you think are the outsourcing companies in Bangladesh are capable to provide those services? For example, I can say for our bank we have to hire some sort of global compliance experts. So why not the Bangladesh are prepared, or our people prepared for providing this which will.
You must have heard, otherwise you were unmindful, I'm sorry. I asked the same question to Dr. Kamaluddin. Why not crawl job can be done by a local BPO?
Yes, sir, I have heard it, but my question is to you. to answer the question that as an expert in the banking industry for many years, you can better answer our question. Thank you, sir.
Anyone else? After him, okay?
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I would like to ask a question, and that is that we know that this CIB is a very confidential thing, and it matters to the Bangladesh Bank only. So I would like to ask that how BPO companies can maintain such a confidential thing, and how you can rely on them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks to all the speakers for their enchanting delivery regarding BPO and financial sector. And from today's discussion, it has been evidence that BPO has a lot of advantages regarding specialization, cost effectiveness. But my question to you, what are the problems maybe arise due to the dependency of the financial sector on BPO? Please tell to the audience.
Good. Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Iftikhar. I'm a partner in a law firm. I would just request the organizers to raise awareness on the BPO entrepreneurs that not to agree to an international arbitration clause just for the sake of agreeing or getting a contract. Because if they cannot afford an arbitration abroad, it should not be agreed. And they should obviously emphasize on the domestic arbitration. Just that was my request, to raise awareness on domestic arbitration. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is a fantastic thing. I did remember to talk about this, and while we were talking between myself and my colleague, he did also mention about this, the contracting side of it. So thank you so much on behalf of the entire BPO industry. Anyone else? Yes, please.
I'm Mehdi from Financial Express. My question is, one of the challenges that we have identified is IT security issues. So my question is, can you please detail us on how we can address this challenge in a bit detail? And can you also please give us some highlights on where we can improve, where Bangladesh can improve to provide better BPO services in the financial sector?
That's all. For the interest of time, we have to go back to the panelists also. So I would like to request my distinguished keynote presenter, Arshadul Hassan, to highlight a little bit more on that IT security question that has been posed by our distinguished colleague from Financial Express. And number two, that yes, I will get back to again Orijit, who has very good visibility about what is happening in our neighboring countries as well as Sri Lanka, India, and some of the developed countries also, who has outsourced some of the emerging jobs or the jobs already being done, that how they can scale up the BPO companies themselves. And again, I will come back to Mr. Topon Kanti Sarkar, sorry, that yes, if we could tell us, because this is exactly the subject we were discussing before we came to the podium, that yes, why not you put up a BPO company and start processing and backbone support to the entire financial industry, and maybe we can include the accounting side of it also, outsourcing some of the accounting functions on behalf of the companies to the outsourced companies. Then where are the shoe pinching, or where are the shoes pinching? So starting with Arshad.
Okay, IT security, I think we know the importance of it, particularly what has happened recently in the central bank. So first of all, I think the standards when we are using a software, like for ID, password changes, prompting of password changes after certain days, a certain minimum standard of how a password should be designed. These basic things has to be, one, built into the system, And second is the awareness of the users of the BPOs has to be there that, look, I cannot share my password, I cannot, I have to design the password in a way it is not easily, identifiable, that kind of thing. Secondly is, when you design a software, the audit trail and other things has to be there so that it can be tracked. Third thing is, the data security, it cannot be copied. Data cannot be copied from one laptop to the other. For example, in banks, what we do is, all the drives and even the, pen drives are disabled. Nobody can send it. All the data that goes with attachment to outside the domain of the bank, that is also tracked. Whether any confidential data goes out, certain logics are there given. People who do not need access to internet or access to do not need to give email to other organizations, restrict their access. So all these kind of measures are important from the software and hardware point of view. But the most important thing is awareness of the people. You have to make your people aware of the data security, confidentiality needs. That awareness, when it comes, then people become conscious and they know exactly where to, place the restrictions, where to place the bars. So that's what I would like. Would you like to add anything?
Thank you. Orijit?
So it all starts with data again, and the way worldwide the financial services companies do. The first thing they do, they classify their data in terms of the degree of security and restriction required. And typically they call data classification level 0 to level 3, 4, or 5, depending upon how much they want to do. And then take a call that which data can go up to how long. And then accordingly they define their processes and then they engage their service providers. So that's what they do. The second thing also you need to look at it, the way financial services company they do business. I talked about the core activity and non-core activity. In many instances, dealing with the technology and security issues belong to a non-core activity if you really go by the classic definition. But for a BPO service provider, that's where the revenue is coming from. So it is expected that a service provider should actually a leap ahead than their clients with respect to getting the security and technology right in order and right in place and keeping that upgraded. So that's one of the competitive advantage the BPO services company can bring on the table. And the moment they do that, I have seen many large BPO service providers win $1 million contracts, and that is in the tune of $200 million or $500 million level of contracts in the financial services space, simply by demonstrating that we understand technology better than you do, and your data will actually remain safer in our custody in certain cases. So that's how the overall business ecosystem evolved. Thank you.
Mr. Tapan Kanti Sarkar. Very brief.
Thank you, Arshad Bhai and Orijit. They have actually covered all the side. The thing they have not covered is what I see is regarding IT security issues. The most talked about subject in Bangladesh is the monitoring and control. I think all the banks, they have taken proper measure as per Bangladesh Bank guideline, what are the security measures they must take. But one thing is missing in all the banking sector is there is no such proper monitoring and control. Probably you have heard about the latest incident in Bangladesh Bank and other places. So I had the opportunity to attend a regional conference in SWIFT also. So all of you know that SWIFT is a most reliable system in Bangladesh, but how it happens and the software, what Bangladesh Bank is using, the core banking software, these are all world-class software. But how the things has happened because of the malware and spyware, all of you heard of that. That the malware practices and the spyware that has happened, it was not properly monitored, not controlled. There is no such department in the in the banks that which will monitor. I think the most important issue for all the banks is they have CIO, they have head of IT, but I think they must have one chief security officers who will ensure that the proper control of the security part has been taken care. Normally we give it to the audit department. Actually, they are not the right department to check all these things. So what I suggest is there should be a chief security officer in each bank who will actually ensure that the proper security measures has been taken. Thank you.
Thanks to all my distinguished panelists. I really wanted to remain focused and glued on the BPO industry. So personally, I did not want anything else other than BPO industry's interest being protected. Our BPO industry is at a nascent stage. We have mentioned, especially while our distinguished panelist from Islami Bank, Mr. Kamaluddin, was focusing on other possible business process outsourcing. He has mentioned about this second Dorjibari being Bangladesh. So you see, and for the success and the as of now where we are standing with regard to our textile and RMG industry, lot of success goes to the buying houses. And I was in the last BPO summit, similar discussion I did focus, where are the buying houses for us? Buying houses owned by the Chinese, US, Germans, Indians, who really pulled up our garments processing or Dorjibari people to the international standard. Where are the merchandisers? Where are the quality assurers from JCPenney or H&M or Walmart? So for our BPO industry also to come up to the stage of the second Dorjibari, we need to also look at our important stakeholders abroad. India BPO industry might have reached $100 billion plus. But look at who are reposing trust on the Indian BPO industry. Maybe another Indian working for Microsoft. Maybe another India-born CTO working for Citibank. Another India origin CTO working for Unilever. So where are those people? Another lawyer recommending some of the law processing or the customer inquiries can be outsourced to a Bangladesh company. Number two. Number three is that working with the global biggies, we must learn. We have got a general tendency to undermine the global operators who has been operating in the world for last 150 years, 200 years. We must get into a happy marriage with them. Who knows, some of their own activities known to be core for last 100 years might have emerged as the non-core activity. They might be shifting their attention from something else towards something else. How about getting those low-hanging fruits as our BPO industry comes to that standard? Two of our distinguished panelists, Mr. Topan Kanti Sarkar as well as Mr. Kamaluddin also kept on focusing on standardization of our own BPO industry, coming up with own guideline for our BPO industry. Because in case you do not deliver, what will happen to me? What will happen to Deutsche Bank sitting in New York? What will happen to State Times in Singapore, who has outsourced some of their story building to a Bangladesh media house? So where do I stand? And I'm protected by what kind of law and contract and counterparty law and law of contract? So these are also becoming very important. Like our accounting professionals, how much we can trust the data produced by them. And that is why World Bank and others, they have pushed our parliament, not only Minister of Finance, not only Minister of Law, they have literally pushed our parliament, driven our parliament to come up with Financial Reporting Act. And that is not done. Now they are coming up with how about forming the Financial Reporting Council. And that is what, if I am not mistaken, Mr. Topan Kanti Sarkar was focusing on. That yes, if anything goes wrong with any of my BPO counterparty, where do I stand? And I will be guided by what kind of law for that counterparty who is a BPO. At the same time, IT security, data integrity, data confidentiality. You'd be surprised to know in India and elsewhere, even in Philippines, most of the financial activities has been outsourced to the BPOs. It is the captives. JP Morgan Chase or Citibank or Deutsche Bank or Unilever or Christian Methodist Hospital or many other giving outsourced business to the local companies, they have put up their own plant, own processing center, maybe some of those owned by some of the JV partners. And they are also ex-bankers, ex-technology managers, ex-data center managers. Look at India. India may be exporting, say, $100 billion worth of processing, but most of the center for excellence, most of the processing, say, plants, those are being owned by the banks or the organization themselves. So only some of them in India or in Philippines or even in China, those are also jointly owned by some local, and those locals are also coming from, and we have done a study, mostly coming from international banks, international IT company. So the ultimate message is that you must come to the standard. You must come to a minimum possible standard and let other people also in US, UK, Germany, Singapore, Australia, they also drum your beat, or sorry, beat your drum. So, and that is why they also tell we need international people to pull us up, to pull our BPO industry up, so that Bangladesh BPO industry can be trusted. They can be given more business, and and you should also attract. Another big challenge, what we have discussed in broader details in the last BPO summit, that coming up is that turnover, is that Bangladesh culture, they always look for permanent job, even if the job is a low paying job. So attracting good guys to the BPO companies needs BPO companies also to come up with HR guideline, retaining the good people, training the good people, rewarding the big people, and coming up with an integrated HR capital solution building within the BPO industry. I would like to profoundly thank, of course, this time BPO Summit organizer, all my distinguished panelists, and more importantly, all the people who has come up to express their opinion, be it on the legal side, be it on the accounting side. This is a new area we need to think, and I'm sure BPO Summit organizers will think while they will be organizing the next BPO Summit, especially on the financial service outsourcing thing and IT security issue, the data confidentiality issue, some outsourcing some of the analytical job that has been highlighted by our distinguished keynote presenter Arshad Hassan. So I think we know what we need to do, where are the shoes pinching, at the same time what we need to do to make our BPO industry as the second Dorjibari of the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time, our honorable guest, speakers, and moderator. Thank you very much. I hope you all enjoyed it. Now we're going to hand over the crest. Sir Muhammad Aminul Haq, Joint Secretary from Baku, will hand over the crest. Thank you very much. Just bear with us. Thank you.
হ্যাঁ আসবেন